Greetings. My name is Kriya Gomez, and I'm with the Young Women's Freedom Center. And I want to thank you for joining us in this fight to close down Juvenile Hall. In April 2019, we were part of a group of community members and youth that pushed for the legislation that currently shuts down Juvenile Hall in December 2021. Part of that legislation required us to create a work group that would actually be comprised of probation officers, members of the district attorney's office, the public defender's office, teachers from San Francisco Unified School District, and of course, members of the community. I currently sit in one of those seats and want to just give you all a small update so that you guys understand the urgency of you all getting involved right now. So the Closed Juvenile Hall Work Group has been meeting since December 2019. And that only leaves us with about 7 months to close down Juvenile Hall by the 2021 deadline. This process has been long, it's been hard, and as you can imagine with COVID, it has slowed down significantly. And so we are currently at the place where we are looking for a facility that will replace our local juvenile justice center. And that place must, based on the legislation that was passed, be a secure, non-institutional place of detention. This means that it should not look like a prison. It should not look like a jail. And it should definitely be someplace that young people can go to who still need to be detained and feel like they are treated well and that they are getting the programming that they need and the recreation that they need, and being seen as young people who can be rehabilitated and will one day go home. So that's the task. As of now, San Francisco has not been able to find many places that could comply with the state requirements of what's called a Title 15. Title 15 is the law that basically governs what a secure facility looks like. So it's really important that young people come forward and they talk about what they would want and to truly reimagine what a non-institutional secure place of detention could look like. I do want to say that when we're talking about young people who will have to go to this detention center, we're honestly talking about, at most, maybe 5 to 10 kids, depending on the time of the year and what's going on. And I'm stretching it by saying 10 kids. We also know, though, that there are other populations that have been detained at juvenile hall that should not be there, like young people for low-level offenses. Like young people that are newcomers to San Francisco and are from other countries and don't quite have a place to be here, and so the only place that they send them to is detention. And then we have girls and boys who cannot go home because the judge has determined that they for one reason or another, cannot return to their parents or their guardians or their caregivers' care. And so, of course, we're also talking about possibly an additional 5 to 10 young people who will also need a placement or a group home or someplace. And when we're talking about what it actually looks like to serve young people in San Francisco, it means that a significant amount of those young people who judges would say could not go home actually can, if they had the right programming and they had the support of their community. And so I also want to urge folks to think about what kind of community programming that you know, and you know San Francisco is full of amazing programs, are programs that we should be lifting up and thinking about. So, based on everything that I just said, there is one place that the facilities members of the Closed Juvenile Hall Work Group are pushing, and that's a place called Edgewood. Edgewood is a secure placement, providing mental health services and support to foster care youth. But if you ask a lot of young people, they've done a lot of harm in our community. And many young folks, particularly those at the Young Women's Freedom Center and those that have been in foster care, are not happy with this placement and believe that we should never look to an organization that has harmed young people to replace our current juvenile hall. We should not be replacing one detention center with another institution. So it's our job as a community, it's your job as a young person in San Francisco to dream and think about what's possible. And much is possible in these moments. And to think about if we were to create a smaller 5 to 10 bed, secure, non-institutional place of detention, what would that look like? Where should it be? What do you guys believe programming should look like in there? We've got a lot of information from community members that had experienced juvenile hall in the community through listening sessions that we conducted in November, in December, and in January. And they gave us a lot to think about. But unfortunately, if we don't push San Francisco to think outside of Edgewood and to think about what is possible, we will end up with another institution replacing an institution. So again, I thank you all for joining us. I encourage you all to, read up on what's going on with the San Francisco Closed Juvenile Hall Group. I ask you to reach out to Young Women's Freedom Center if you want more information, and definitely get down with the coalition. We are really looking forward to making sure that the city hears you as young folks.